Hello, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now, Kentucky. We do have an update for you tonight regarding tomorrow's severe weather outlook. We'll take a brief look at Tuesday as well. A pretty stormy week ahead. That's what we talked about last week on our weekly outlook video. Pretty interruptive week. A lot different than our most recent weather pattern, if you will. Mainly calm. For the last 2 weeks since the hurricane remnants came through here. But now that we get into August, things are ramping back up. You feel more of the humidity back out there again. Things are flowing in the oceans. That's going to be able to cause and stir up some issues up here for our neck of the woods as well. We'll start diving into the information here in about 45 seconds. Until then, if you would not mind, tap the share button at the bottom portion of the video over there on Facebook or YouTube. We're live on both platforms tonight. Make sure you share the broadcast out to your news feed so that way your friends and family can view it as well, and so that they can get the information on what to expect. Tomorrow might be a two-parter, long day ahead of us for tomorrow going into Tuesday. So thank you guys for tuning on in here. You have not missed anything. If you are just now clicking on the video, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with W&K. Make sure you say hello as you're coming in. If you stick around for the whole video, might be able to see little Samuel if you want to, if he's not sleeping already. Joseph, Julia, Jacob over there on Facebook, thank you guys for sharing the broadcast. I appreciate you. Jamie, Ivy, Kim, Chelsea, Lisa, hello. Thank you guys for sharing and commenting. Hello, how are you guys doing? Again, if you're just now tuning in here, we're going to look at actual model data as well as the SBC's forecast, as well as the forecast that we have created that we have not shown yet, but we'll show you here live on this broadcast this evening. Hello over there on YouTube. Angel, Maria, how are you guys doing over there on the YouTube channel? Good evening, Amy. Hello, Paula. Again, we'll give it about 15 more seconds or so. I still see a lot of numbers going up here. I usually try to wait until they start calming down. I just want to make sure everyone gets in here, gets a chance to see the information that wants to see it. Of course, we'll be live throughout the event tomorrow as well, so make sure you give us a follow if you would like, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Good housekeeping stuff like that. Sweezy, Melinda, Ricky, thank you guys for sharing the post over there on Facebook. I appreciate you all helping us get our information out to as many folks as possible. I appreciate you guys helping us. Taylor says she's watching from Campbellsville. Glinda, hello, how are you doing? Jackson, Billy, Terry, Mary, Tina, hello. How are you all? It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've been live with you guys. Not a long time. We did one last week, didn't we? But a long time where we have one that's probably this, where we need to get you that information. Not as casual of a broadcast. If you stick around, I'll see if I can bring Samuel on the broadcast with you. I see a lot of questions asking how he's doing. He's doing great. Thank you guys for asking. If he's awake, I will bring him on the broadcast so that you guys can see him more toward the end of the video. About 7 more shares, and then we'll get going. I usually know to go whenever we have the 30 shares. So once we get to 30 shares, I'll go. Again, I've been doing this for about 6 years now. I know when the time to go is on these broadcasts. Thank you guys for the shares. Jerry, Susan, everyone, thank you guys so much. Carmen says, watching from Springfield. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Brian, how are you doing tonight, man? Jerry, thank you for sharing again. I appreciate that. Lisa, hello, watching out of LaRue County. How are you doing down there to my friend to the south? All right. So again, we do have the SBC's forecast to show you. We're going to show you actual model data as well so you can see the system for yourself. And we actually have our forecast ready for you as well. So again, thank you for all the shares. Let's go ahead and dive right into the information here. So what I'm going to show you first is the SBC's forecast. Now, I do think that they're kind of underplaying this, and the reason for that is, I'm not disagreeing with them, but the reason for that is there is some discrepancy on exact storm mode type. So basically tomorrow we're going to be dealing with what we refer to as a mesoconvective system or a mesocomplex system, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. Basically a cluster or a line of storms will dive through Kentucky, producing damaging winds, a tornado threat, as well as an isolated hail threat along with flash flooding. That is your nighttime storm system tomorrow. The first storm system tomorrow will be in the way of pop-up prefrontal storms. How those storms form, where exactly they form, and how long they go on is a bit unknown for now. So again, I'll show you that on actual model data, but I want you to know that there's a very good chance, and for me personally, I think this should already be a 2 out of 5 risk for some of those folks in green, and I'll explain that here in a second. The SBC has also noted a 2 to 4% chance for tornadic activity. I don't think the tornado threat is extremely high tomorrow, but do I think Kentucky will see a couple tornadoes? Yes. Just given the overall spin in the atmosphere, along with the instability that we're seeing, and the timing at which it all comes in, I definitely think a severe threat is prominent for tomorrow. I think it's more so damaging winds and flash flooding, but a few tornadoes cannot be ruled out as well. Do I think there's significant tornadoes? You can't tell in the future, but I don't think there's a high chance of significant tornadoes. But yeah, that's what the SBC stands for now. Also, a very general wind outlook as well, but nothing too crazy from them. I'm going to show you the model data at this point, and then after the model data, I will show you our forecast that we have created here at WNK. I want to make sure you can see all of this as well before I start going into it. Okay, you can see all of Kentucky. Barely, but you can see it. All right, I'll have to fix that. So that's kind of looking ahead. See all of that right, all that purple right there. That is heavy rainfall. By the way, real quickly, before we go into that, actually, I wanted to show you, I forgot to lead with this. Here's your current radar, by the way. For those of you that are curious as to what's going on tonight, we don't expect much more activity tonight, but these last few showers right here are getting going in western Kentucky. That will track off to the east. As they do, once they cross I-65 right here, once they get past that, they will start to weaken and die down. These are not severe. We've had no severe weather all day, but we do have a couple concerns for flash flooding as this gets going to the east, depending upon how big it is, but nothing crazy or life-threatening tonight to expect. Just some more annoying rain showers. So that's your current radar there. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling here. I'm going to show you two different models because there's two general overall looks here as to what may occur tomorrow. And I will tell you that models during summertime, especially in Kentucky, tend to really struggle. So what we see tonight on model data might be a little bit different than what actually occurs tomorrow, which is why the SPC has gone a little bit more conservative. If you don't know what the SPC means, it's the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center. It's this right here. It's all these little maps that you see that we always post and other folks always post. That is their outlook. I think they're going a bit more conservative on it for now because given the overall unreliability in models, I'd have to agree with that, but we have our own forecast to show you here in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and get rolling through here. This is tonight throughout the overnight hours. Again, not a whole lot to really be expected. Maybe some more pop-up showers tonight going into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, nothing really too crazy. And then by about lunchtime, 12 to 1 to maybe 2 p.m. Eastern time, our first little signal, or our first cluster here, and you can just take a look at this line, and you can just tell it's a backwards C. That tells us that this line is completely bowing out, which means that winds are shoving it, which means that the wind gust may be up to 60 to 70 mile per hour. Don't even have to do any science or math on this. I can just tell by looking at the shape of the storm line. You can just tell that because, again, most of your storms in Kentucky, I'm going to pull up the radar once more to show you. Most of your storms look like this, right? Pretty much a straight line, maybe a little wiggle here and there. But when you see a line start to do that, something is shoving that line to make that shape. And 9 times out of 10, it's wind gust above our heads. So if the rain's falling hard enough, it'll kind of open up a little portal, if you will, just put it in layman terms, bring those winds down to the surface, and that's where we get our damaging wind threat. So when we look at this, we can tell that this is already going to pose a damaging wind risk, as well as some other things. Now, for this first line, we don't see a real tornado threat with the first line because the winds above the head haven't really caught up to it going in the opposite direction yet. Basically, in order to get a tornado threat, you have to have winds going different directions at different layers of the atmosphere. In the afternoon tomorrow, I don't see that occurring. So, damaging wind risk, heavy rainfall, and flash flooding risk are your main threat for tomorrow afternoon. And that will basically just be a part of this line. And even as it gets into Kentucky, you could tell it takes a big step down and really fizzles out by the time it gets to Lexington and Somerset. So that first afternoon cluster may only impact places like Elizabethtown, Louisville, places in between those two areas, and right around the Ohio River in northern Kentucky. By the time this dives through Kentucky, it'll really begin to die down. It's the evening toward the late night round that is a bit more concerning. So as he pushes on through here, this is valid for 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can see these popcorn, these little pops of storms really forming along the Ohio River and just to the north, and they'll be tracking to the southeast here. Notice how it's all the way over here to the east. The model I'm going to show you after this actually has this line more toward the west, like toward Owensboro and Evansville, Indiana, and stretching along the Ohio River. So that's one of the differences between this model and another model for tomorrow's system. So this is valid for 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., so on and so forth. You can tell the reason for concern here for flash flooding is quite high because look at the repeated rounds that occurs here. So we have the initial one back all the way at 1 p.m., right? 1 to like 3 p.m. Eastern time, right? Then we have a little bit of a break. That's if we get a break. right? Again, models might not be handling this exactly perfect. It might be under convecting, which means it's not producing enough rainfall on the model versus what will actually happen, or it may be entirely accurate. We have no idea. We can't see into the future. But I'm just telling you, I know summertime around here in Kentucky, models are pretty unreliable. So we do a lot more math behind the scenes, a lot more science behind the scenes. But we try to communicate it in a little bit more layman way on broadcast because there's so many big things to talk about. But let's just go ahead and roll this back on through here. Again, I want to show you again. So the reason for flash flooding concern is just look at the repeated rounds. For example, just train your eye on the Louisville, Lexington, and Elizabethtown triangle right here. Louisville, Lexington, Elizabethtown. Just train your eye right there. So again, this area got hit 1 to 3 p.m. by about an inch or two of rain. And then you're talking about repeated rounds of rainfall. Could exceed 2 to 4 inches of rain tomorrow. Most of those places already saw about 1 to 2 inches of rain today. That's why your flash flood concern is quite high. We already have flooded roadways down there in southern Kentucky. I saw some reports of that through our Twitter messenger. But again, flash flooding is not something we need to write off, by the way. Again, this system's kind of hitting mainly between 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. throughout the late night to overnight hours. What do we not have at that time? Sunlight. We can't see the roadways as well, especially ones that are not lit up. So my suggestion to you is to probably be home by about 10 to 11 p.m. tomorrow if you live anywhere north of the parkways. Avoid flooded roadways. Your car is not a boat, people. It's amazing to me how many people think that their little Honda Civics driving through a flooded roadway. It's amazing to me, and it probably sounds blunt and rude, but it's true. You guys would be amazed if you saw the amount of reports and photos that we see of cars thinking they can go through flooded roadways, even trucks, right? So the reason there is a level of concern for severe weather tomorrow, I want to show you as I pull this. Actually, I'm going to show you this first. So this is the updraft helicity chart. This kind of shows us where rotation swaths may occur. Now, rotation does not always indicate tornadic activity, but it does indicate a level of severe weather. So let's go ahead and pull this on through here. So you can see this is tonight going into tomorrow morning. A few gray spots showing up. So some of these storms tonight may rotate a little bit, but it's not going to lead towards severe weather. I'll promise you that. Now, as for Monday afternoon, here's your first line. Remember that first one that's going to impact Louisville to E-Town to Lexington. That one does have a little bit of rotation with it, but again, not a whole lot. As I mentioned, the winds aren't going in opposite direction yet. It's tomorrow evening where the winds start to go in a bit more of an opposite direction and support some rotating storms. So as I push this forward to 9 to 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern time going in toward midnight, you'll start to see those bright blues and yellows begin to pop up. Those are storms that are rotating. And we see those rotation signatures starting at about 9 p.m., lasting all the way until 5 to 6 a.m. Eastern time. So this might be a long window of severe weather here in Kentucky. So those are your rotation swaths. Let's go ahead and zoom this out here and show you why this is occurring. Well, we actually have a bit of shear to work with. So if you actually paid attention to the page a few weeks ago, I told you guys that something that we usually lack here in Kentucky is shear. And for some reason, I'm having a brain fart here. Okay, here we go. Is bulk shear. Basically, this tells us where wind energy is occurring. You have to have multiple things in order to create storms. You have to have wind energy. You have to have instability, aka cape that you see there on the left side of the screen. You have to have humidity. You also have to have a pocket of dry air. A lot of things that a storm needs. People just think a storm can just happen. There's a lot of factors that go into deciding whether a storm is going to occur or not. And even at that point, it can still not occur. So I want to show you here. So usually in Kentucky, throughout the summertime, we lack shear. So usually during storms, we'll see this all be white, maybe even light blue. That's not a whole lot. But we're seeing pinks and purples begin to show up. That's wind shear that's over 20 knots per hour. When you start seeing those reds and yellows begin to show up, those are bulk shears that are over 30 knots per hour. That's definitely enough to meet the severe weather criteria. And you will see that. We do see that, especially by 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can see it just balloons. So this is no shear, by the way. I want to show you real quickly, just to give you some context. This is right now. This is why we're not seeing severe weather right now. We're just seeing rain. There's no shear. There's no shear to work with. You see, you have to have the shear in order for the storms to go. As for tomorrow night, boom. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. So a lot of wind energy to work with. That's why the damaging wind risk is high. Another thing we look at is CAPE. Do we have any instability for these storms to work with? The answer is yes, we do. So this is CAPE. We actually have CAPE today, which is why you're seeing a bunch of rainfall. But we don't have any shear, which is why it's keeping it just rainfall. So here's your CAPE for tomorrow. you can see an abundant amount. Those purples and reds showing up once again, even the yellows. And the only reason it's not heightened up all the way over here is because there's actually rain going on over here. I promise you there is still Cape over there where those white pockets are as well. So we have Cape, we have wind shear. Do we have humidity to go with it all? And we'll look at that as well. And you could just, I mean, these are dew points. And that's why it feels so muggy outside. Your dew point right now is around 70 degrees. That is muggy. That is really, really muggy. Tomorrow night, it's no different. Upper 70s even for some locations. Like, for example, here's Elizabethtown to Louisville, 77 for your dew point tomorrow night. That does indicate some moisture is available. So we have moisture that's available. We have instability. We have wind shear. Do we have winds that are going on above our heads? That's your last little box to check. Plus, there's a bunch more, but just on a surface level, this is the very first guidelines that you check. So here is the winds that are about 5,000 feet above us. You can see that right now we have no winds going on above us. Again, why we have no severe weather. Tomorrow night, you can see we have some activity going on above us about 5,000 feet up. So all the boxes that we look at are checked. They really are. And that's why the severe threat is a bit concerning for tomorrow, because it's not a robust event. I don't think we're looking at any type of historic outbreak, but all the boxes are checked. So the severe threat is there for tomorrow. Here's your severe risk map for from us. Again, we have 1 to 3 p.m. highlighted for that spot that we showed you for Elizabethtown to Louisville. That is the spot for 1 to 3 p.m. to be concerned with. And then again, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., 4 a.m. being on Tuesday morning. Those are your main time frames of concern. A level 1 out of 5 risk from us exists from Madisonville to Hopkinsville to Bowling Green. A level 2 out of 5 risk exists from Owensboro to Litchfield to Harlan, Pikeville, Moorhead, Ashland, those places in orange. And a level 3 out of 5 risk exists from Elizabethtown to Louisville, Campbellsville, Somerset, Danville, Lexington, up there toward Florence. If you're going to ask me, George, can this map kind of move around a little bit? Will we play with the colors? Most likely. We'll kind of see tomorrow morning if we need to change it or not. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot, but that is our forecast for now. Risk map for Monday. And here are your risks that go along with that. So I want to show you this. Hail is about a 1 out of 5 risk for the orange, 2 out of 5 risk for the red. Hail is not going to be a big threat for tomorrow. Yellow, you have no hail threat in our eyes. Yellow, your only real threat is going to be damaging winds, along with torrential rainfall. Also, I didn't update this part down here, so don't pay attention to the words that are at the bottom. For some reason, that did not populate like it was supposed to, so I'll have to go back and fix that. Orange, your wind risk tomorrow is a 3 out of 5 risk. Again, remember that was from Owensboro to Harlan to Pikeville, and places in orange. Red, you are at a 4 out of 5 risk for damaging winds. Damaging winds, once again, guys, being anything above 60 miles per hour. Tornado risk, again, is not overly impressive in my eyes for tomorrow, but it is there. A 1 out of 5 risk for the orange, a 2 out of 5 risk for the red, no risk for the yellow or white as of now. Again, if this shifts, we will let you guys know. Probably do another broadcast tomorrow, late morning, early afternoon, to let you guys know of any updates there. I'm going to run it's literally less than 1 minute of ads from our partners real quickly, and then I'll get into your questions, and I'll show you Samuel if he is awake. Again, this is like literally less than a minute, so make sure you hear what our sponsors have to say. Maybe you'll hear something you like. Make Right Implement your go-to spot this spring and summer for all of your equipment needs. With over 15 locations throughout Kentuckiana, they have so many destinations for you to choose from. They have great customer service, a super knowledgeable staff, and high-quality products that are also affordable. Oh, and they're always running deals like these here. Thank you so much, Right Implement, for being a supporter of the Weather Now Kentucky channel.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Fire it up, Randy! By being prepared for anything! Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
All right, thank you to our partners. We appreciate them a ton. I'll go ahead and pull up the map once again for some of those folks that may have missed it. Over on YouTube, 3 out of 5 is an enhanced risk, so will tomorrow go enhanced? This is our forecast, not the SBC's forecast. I can't tell you what the SBC is going to do, my friend. How bad is Richmond going to get for tomorrow? Again, I think if you can find your color on that map and kind of just tell yourself. We also have the risk here. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Well, never mind. I don't know what happened to it. But Richmond, I think, is at play for some severe weather tomorrow, mainly being damaging winds. That's going to be the common theme for most folks that are going to ask. So I'm not going to answer too many of those town questions because, again, I think everyone, the main risk is damaging winds. And then beyond that, it's a very, very low chance, but it's there for a tornado. And then beyond that, it's just torrential rainfall. Again, thank you guys for all the shares on the broadcast. I appreciate you guys helping us with that. Yes, correct. This broadcast is regarding severe weather for tomorrow. The potential for severe weather for tomorrow, I should say. Watching from Florida, trying to decide when to drive home in the next 2 days. I think there's definitely a risk for severe weather tomorrow and on Tuesday. So unfortunately, you picked probably the 2 worst days to do that. If you can, do it Wednesday. But again, I think you unfortunately picked maybe the worst 2 days to do that. Someone's asking about the timing. Here's the map once again. Timing's at the top, 1 to 3 p.m. and then again from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Hawkinsville, you're on the border of just seeing casual thunderstorms versus, the chance for severe. So I think you're looking at, probably a marginal severe risk, if that. Yes, I will be live during the storms tomorrow if it warrants it. Easy on the Honda. Sorry about that. Just an easy metaphor. It's usually the Honda drivers that I see trying to push through. Honda and Ford. People with the big Ford trucks think their trucks are boast, and then people with the Honda Civics are always the one. Ohio County's on the border of the 1 to 5 and the 2 to 5, or 2 out of 5. But again, guys, I kind of just do this for more of the visually pleasing things. People just like to see colors for some reason. But for me, I wouldn't stress over the exact number that you're in unless you're in that red zone. That's when I would start to look at it a little bit more. But if you're like on the line of something, what I usually do is just look at the worst case scenario and then try to play off of that. So, for example, if you're in like Owensboro or something like that and you're trying to zoom in and look exactly where you're at, one thing to keep in mind is I make these by hand, so it's not going to be exactly perfect. I'm not going to get the exact zip codes right, but just take kind of a median of the two. So if you're 2 out of 5 or 1 out of 5, I wouldn't risk it or I wouldn't overthink it too much. Just know that severe weather is possible. Lee, it's impossible to tell at this point when you're talking about that specifics because, again, I think this line is probably going to shift a little bit overnight. We will see. But I definitely think you're looking at the possibility for severe weather. I can't guarantee it, but I think it's possible. Yes, the other model, I forgot to show you guys that. The other model, so again, we saw that this model, just real quick recap. We saw that this model brings the line in. Let me go ahead and zoom back in once more. From central to eastern Kentucky. So, again, here it is, the first round, first little wave, if you will. Here's that second wave. Notice how it's pretty much central, eastern Kentucky, mainly east of I-65. Kind of keeps it all the way over there. This model, on the other hand, which is another model that we look at, again, both of these models have things that they're great at. Both of these models have things that they're terrible at. So we usually try to take a median of the two. So here's this model for tomorrow. Here's how it looks. Notice how we got to the 1 to 3 p.m. time frame up here in the top left, and we don't see a thing. As well, or as for the other model, remember, it showed a cluster of storms between 1 to 3 p.m. This one doesn't see a thing. All right, and then here's the nighttime. We have this line. Remember, this was all the way in eastern Kentucky. Now it's showing it back out here for western Kentucky and central Kentucky. Pretty much almost has all of Kentucky from Lexington to Paducah getting hit by this long line of storms. See how it looks a lot different? So if I do this and I click on our 36 hours and I compare the two models, so here's this model and here's the other one. See the hard thing about doing weather is even the models that people think we just look at and don't do anything else don't agree. It's like having two daughters and they're just arguing all the time. These two models are just always arguing. And then you got some other models that just show a completely different thing. And then you just have this model out here just showing nothing at all. So that's kind of the fun part about what we do is trying to decipher based upon what we look at historically versus math versus science, which of one of these models shows a more probable scenario. In my opinion, it's this one. Tornadoes tomorrow, Ratcliffe. Sorry, just hopped on here. I think it's about a 2 to 4% chance. I don't think we're looking at anything significant. But again, the risk is there. Again, the timing, guys, for those of you asking about timing, are at the top of the map. Right there. Yes, it's right here. Here's your risk map. I'm going to go see if Samuel's awake. I know a lot of you are wanting to see him. I'll go see if he's awake. If he's awake, I'll bring him back here so you guys can see him real quickly. Because I won't bring him on tomorrow because tomorrow we'll be doing severe weather coverage. But tonight, where it's a little bit more relaxed, I'll see if he's awake and I can bring him on here for you. Let me go check. Real quickly, someone on YouTube asked me what's the criteria for you to go live tomorrow. There's really no criteria. It's just a matter of if I think the storm system warrants it. If I think the storm system warrants it, as well as what the current severe risks are. All right, you ready, buddy? Ready to say hi to everybody real quickly? There you go. The buddy, the camera's over here. Yeah. What about this? There we go. You want to say hi? Mwah. I think he's starting to teeth for the first time, so he's not in the greatest mood possible. He's not in the greatest mood possible. What are you doing? All right. How's parenthood been? It's been great. It's been great. A couple exhausting nights, of course, per usual with having, a kiddo, but, in my very new eyes, I think we've had a pretty easy baby for the most part. Obviously cannot complain. You have a mini me. I think some days he looks like my wife, some days he looks like me. I have no idea. You want to stand up a little bit? He can stand for about 2 seconds. You gonna say hi? You gonna say hi? You gonna say hi? Oh, you shit. You shit. Oh, boy. How old is he now? He just turned 2 months yesterday. 2 months. Goes by fast. Looks just like his daddy. It's crazy because it's really split 50-50. Some people say he looks like my wife. Some people say he looks like me. To me, I think he has a really great split between us two. A phenomenal split between us two. But I think he mostly looks like my wife. There. People don't want to see me, they want to see you. What's up, dude? Whoever was asking about timing and impacts, here is the risk map that we made. Timing in the top left or the top middle. Oh, you smiling for them? He was just laughing. You gonna do it again? You gonna do it again? Oh, I think something else is going on. So we need to hop off here. Oh, every time I go to the other camera, he's not doing it. That's not what you, trust me, that's not the one you want, son. What are you doing? Rotating storm coming into Warren County. I'll take a look at it for you real quickly before we hop off here. Rotating storm in Warren County, huh? I see what you mean, but this is way too broad. This is way too broad. Also, there's no winds going on above our heads that are going in reversing directions. So I don't think that this is actual rotation down at the surface. I think this might be elevated rotation, which is leading to why you see over here the heavier rainfall and the lightning. I don't think this is rotation and resulting in tornadic activity at all. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a messy one. For those of you that just know the noise he just made, he definitely did do what you think he just did. So I'm going to hop off here. I gave you all the information I can give you. We'll make a written post here in a little bit as well. Again, we'll go live probably tomorrow morning before the event starts, and we'll be live during the event if it's needed. I'm going to go do my other job now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here with us. I appreciate you. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. This is Samuel Herbig, Junior Forecaster with WNK. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.